Hi, today we're going to do a recap of the film Tomorrowland. It's an epic sci-fi adventure that's filled with crazy special effects and sequences. Remember, this video has spoilers. But before we start, don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe to our channel to get some interesting stuff and upcoming videos. The film starts with a guy named Frank telling us how humans have messed up the world in the future. A young girl named Casey keeps interrupting his story, and all the while a timer is running down in the background. Frank eventually starts his story from his childhood, when he built a jetpack. Frank lives in the countryside and he built the jetpack to get into the competition of the 1964 New York Science Fair. At the competition, he tells Judge Nix that his jetpack was built to inspire people so that they can build the future. However, his jetpack doesn't work, so the judge asks him to try again next year. A little girl named Athena shows up, and she's impressed by Frank's enthusiasm. She gives Frank a pin and asks him to follow her. Frank drags his jetpack as he follows Athena into a boat ride. The boat takes Frank to an elevator, and the elevator takes him to a cloudy place. There he sees Athena fly away in some kind of aircraft. Meanwhile, a giant robot fixes Frank's jetpack. Frank is looking at his jetpack when some workers try to catch him and he falls from the platform. While falling, he wears his jetpack and flies around to find himself in an extremely futuristic city. The city has towering skyscrapers with robotic birds flying around it. He spots Athena in the city and goes up to talk to her. Frank says at this point everything in the future started going sideways. That's exactly when Casey interrupts Frank's story again and begins telling her story. She is the daughter of a NASA engineer and she always wanted to explore space. She is angry because the government is closing the Cape Canaveral space program, so she spends her night causing troubles for the workers who are taking the space center apart. She's a good student who is always asking curious questions in class, but she is fed up with the lack of enthusiasm of her teachers. Then one night, Athena goes to Casey's house and puts the same pin inside her motorcycle bag. That same night, as Casey's trying to cause problems for the coworkers at the space station, she gets caught by the police. She's released on bail after a while, and the cops give her the pin that they found on her motorcycle. Casey picks up the pin, and all of a sudden, she's standing in a different place. She's scared and drops the pin on the ground. And she's back at the police station. She picks up the pin again, and she's standing in wheat fields outside a giant city. She realizes that she has to keep touching the pin to go to the city. She wraps the pin in a paper and goes with her father, who's there to pick her up. Her father is angry at her for destroying public property. But instead of listening to her father, Casey is using the pin to see that she's moving in that other world while she's moving in her dad's car. That night, Casey sneaks out of the house and uses the pin to get to the city. This is no ordinary city. There are flying cars, hovering trains, and flying people all around. She gets on board the flying train and sees all the wonders of this extremely futuristic city. The train takes her to a space station where some astronauts are about to go on a mission many light years away. They invite Casey into the spaceship, but that's when the pin loses its power and Casey comes back to the normal world where she's knee-deep in a swamp. Casey is shocked and she searches the internet to find the pin's origin. An eBay shop is looking for the pin and Casey decides to visit the shop to know more about the pin. While she's away, Athena visits her house and asks Casey's little brother Nate about her whereabouts. While in the city, Casey is at the shop where the owner couple is amazed to see the pin. They tell Casey that they know about the city. They explain how the city is the place where the world's brightest minds gathered to develop great technologies. The scientists were supposed to show the city to the rest of the world, but they couldn't do that for some reason. After explaining this, the couple asks about the girl who gave Casey the ring. Casey tells them that she doesn't know any girl. The couple doesn't believe her. They lock the shop doors and start shooting at Casey with laser guns. That's when Athena shows up there. She uses a time grenade to save Casey from the lasers, and then she kills the couple. Casey is shocked to find out that the shop owners were robots. The robots self-destruct and destroy the shop with them. Athena, meanwhile, puts Casey in a stolen car and drives away. On the way, Casey finds out that Athena is a robot as well, and she is the one who gave her the pin. Athena tells Casey that she needs her help to save the city, but Casey tries to run away. Athena chases her and gets hit by a truck. Casey steals the truck to get away, but Athena chases her down. Athena then tells Casey that they need to go back to the city, but first, they need someone's help. Meanwhile, some robots show up outside the destroyed shop. They are following the orders of Governor Nix, and they kill the cops who are investigating the blast. Athena, on the other hand, throws Casey out of the truck outside a farm in New York and drives away. The farm belongs to Frank, and Casey wants to talk to him. Frank, however, doesn't want to talk to Casey, and he uses scary dog holograms and force fields to push her away. But Casey tricks Frank to get inside his house and locks him out. She snoops around his house to find out that Frank was working in the city alongside Athena when he was a kid. She also finds a lot of screens inside his house along with a timer. Frank gets inside the house and tells Casey that he was thrown out of the city. As he's about to make Casey leave, the robots arrive there. They want to kill Casey, so Frank uses traps in his house to protect her. In the end, he escapes with her from his house inside a flying bathtub. His house is destroyed, and when they land, they meet Athena. Frank doesn't like Athena anymore. She tells him that she's been looking for someone to save everyone, and she thinks Casey can do it. Athena asks Frank to take them to the city. Frank brings them to a satellite station. There, they get inside a vehicle that takes them straight to the top of the Eiffel Tower. They put the guard to sleep and enter the room. In the room, wax figures of Tesla, Edison, Eiffel, and Jules Verne are present. Frank tells them that these people created the city, and they are called Plus Ultra. The Eiffel Tower was a doorway to the city, and Frank starts a process that leads to a full-fledged rocket coming out from underneath the Eiffel Tower. They get into the rocket while the robots are trying to kill them, and the rocket takes off. The whole of Paris is looking at this with surprise. As the rocket takes off, it shuts down all the electronics in the city. The rocket goes to space, and then starts coming back to Earth at an alarming speed. That's when the rocket jumps into a different dimension, where it crashes into the city. Frank gets Casey out of the rocket, and she sees the same city that she saw before. But something's wrong. The city looks abandoned and lifeless, and Frank calls the city Tomorrowland. That's when they see some ships coming towards them. Frank takes out a small nuke from his bag, and Athena hides it inside her body. Director Nix comes out from one of the ships, and he isn't happy to see Frank or Athena. He wants to throw them back to Earth, but Frank tells Nix that Casey can save them. So they all go to a place that's called the Monitor. Frank built this machine that can show the past and the future. The machine is run on elements known as tachyons. There, Casey finds out that in less than 60 days, Earth will be destroyed by a chain of disasters. Frank tells him that the machine is highly accurate, and that future is accurate. Casey asks Nix to let the people of Earth come to Tomorrowland, but Nix thinks that the Earth people will destroy Tomorrowland as well. He orders to send Frank and the party back to Earth through a special portal. As they're leaving, Casey realizes that the Monitor doesn't just show the future, it affects the future. She explains how the portal has led to the Earth's destruction, and it should be stopped. Frank then tells everyone that Nix uses the portal to change the mind of the people on Earth. But Nix gets angry. He tells them that he showed the people of the Earth how they were destroying the natural world, but the people didn't care. After this, Frank goes to shake Nix's hand before they go back to Earth. However, Frank pushes the button on Nix's watch that makes the platform of the Monitor go back up. He asks Athena to take the nuke into the Monitor, but she's busy fighting off a robot, so Casey gets on the platform and arms the bomb. Meanwhile, Frank is fighting Nix to keep him at bay. They even go through the portal and fall to Earth, but Nix pushes the button and makes the platform fall. Athena closes the portal and uses a robot to stop the platform from crashing. But the bomb is about to explode, so they open the portal again and throw the bomb towards an abandoned island on Earth. And Nix comes back through the portal along with Frank. Debris falls on Nix's leg and he gets stuck. Nix tries to shoot Frank while he's helping Casey, but Athena jumps in front and saves Frank's life. However, Athena is about to die and her self-destruction protocol starts. Before she blows up, she plays her recordings about Frank and explains how she always liked Frank. She was afraid that Frank would hate her when he found out that Athena was a robot. She was even sad when Frank was expelled from Tomorrowland. After this, Frank takes Athena's body and throws it into the Monitor. As her body explodes, the Monitor is destroyed. As soon as the Monitor is destroyed, everything inside the city loses all power, including Frank's jetpack, and he falls into a pond. After all of this, Casey and Frank are sitting there, trying to figure out how to make the future better. They decide to hire more talented people to bring Tomorrowland back to life. They even create robotic recruiters, who are tasked with finding passionate people from around the world. After this, musicians, artists, technicians, engineers, designers, researchers, teachers, and all kinds of people start getting the pins. The film ends with all these people standing outside Tomorrowland in the same wheat field. We hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did like this video, smash that like button and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with the latest and interesting videos.